How's it going? I know it's going well. You guys have to be doing well. I look forward to speaking with you guys here today. We're going to wait for our Facebook friends to get on here. And it's like, how do you make lasting change in your life is today's question. And don't remove the branch, remove the whole root. And we're going to go into that as soon as Facebook pops up live here. And they should be up here in about 3 seconds. Here we go. All right, so how do you make lasting change in your life, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So to do that, I'm going to go to my art easel here, and I'm going to draw you some stuff. Now, understand I'm not an artist. This is not about art day. I'm just going to do my best to illustrate the design that is necessary for the story. So I'm going to tell you a story about my life. So I have a yard, and in my yard, I have a house, okay? And on my house and on my land, there's a deck attached to my house. It's a red deck, all right? So on my deck, there is these like little slats in between. You guys have seen, houses. You know what they look like. You've seen decks, and you know how there's always little slats that go between. So this is a representation of my home and the slats on the red deck here. See, that's fantastic. You're welcome. Don't say I never gave you anything, because that's your present right there. That's amazing. So there's my home, right? So there's some windows, there's some doors, everything else. Okay, everything's good, right? So why am I telling you the story? There's also grass around my deck, right? So on my deck here, there's a little plant that's growing out of the deck. So it's growing up out of the deck, and it's actually getting pretty tall. It's got a little height to it, and I hate going outside and cutting the thing down because I don't like yard work. Not that guy. I'm not a fan of yard work. I'd rather pay somebody to do it than do it myself. Whole different story. But there's this deck with this little plant growing out of it, right? And so when this thing gets too tall, I do go out there and I do cut it down, okay? And so what you'll notice is, like, someday you'll see it'll be flowering, and the next thing you know, it'll just be gone. But in a matter of like a couple weeks, all of a sudden, I go back outside and I'll see it flourishing again in between the slats of my deck, because it's getting water from the rain. It's getting sunlight whenever, the sun goes over the trees, it hits. So it's getting everything it needs to grow, right? So it's getting its water, and it's getting sunlight. It's undisturbed, so it can grow. So this is a really good example of today's story, and this is why I'm bringing it into. So water and sunlight, can you see that? There you go. So this is a really good reason why I brought the story up. So we are actually programmed. I don't know if you guys saw my video that I did about, you start out as an infant in your infancy. You are we'll say, programmed by your family and your friends, and in this order: family first, then friends of the family and friends of yours. Then you have society. You also have the world. You also have you have all these pieces, right? So all these pieces are designed to make you who you are. The problem is that the earliest piece of all this, if you want to look at it like this, it's not in my house. I just want you to know. So you come out as a baby, and the first level of influence that you have are usually your parents. The first level of experience that you have are your parents and your family members and everything else. So what's going to happen to most people is that this is going to dictate a lot of the ways they think. I've actually been to some of these personal development seminars, and I realized some of the paradigms I have about money is based on what my parents used to say and my parents used to do about money. You'll notice that a person who doesn't have a paradigm about money, usually their parents aren't telling things like, we can't afford this. Or they're not saying, oh, we can't get this now, maybe next time. So you kind of develop yourself and your habits based on who you are as a child, okay? We all know that. So the problem with us is that a lot of people do exactly what I did with this plant, and they just cut this thing off here at the top because they can't see it. So what I go up to do is I go up to the slat there, and I see that there's a root growing out, and I just cut right along the slat, okay? We'll say this is it. I cut right along the slat, and it goes away. So it's even and flush with everything else, so I don't have to see it anymore, so thinking that it's going to go away. But for some reason, some strange reason, it always pops back up again. It always starts growing again. And not even in the same fashion, a completely different fashion. The problem is this: I'm not getting rid of the plant. The problem with this is that I'm only getting rid of the branches on the plant. If I want to get rid of anything regarding this plant, I've got to go down, take a little bit of trip underneath the deck, and I need to dig out the root. The problem is that I'm only affecting the surface problem. And the only reason it's a surface problem is because I can see it. So I'm not going down here to where the problem actually is to dig out this root. I'm actually just playing up here. And wondering why it keeps flourishing and coming back and everything else, right? So here's what I want you to think about, your life. You have situations and problems in your life. You have paradigms in your life. You have things in your life that you believe to be true. I know for a fact that a lot of people parent the way they do because the way their parents parented them. So either they liked it and they repeated it, or they hated it and they overcompensate for it. You see a lot of it. You see a lot of these strict parents. We have kids raising kids now, right? We say it all the time. Well, usually in homes where kids are raising kids, something happened that made the kid rambunctious and wild. So what did the kid do? Well, my mom pushed me away because she was too rambunctious, too strict. So I'm going to be friends with my child. I want my child and me to be best friends. That happens, right? Or the parent is so wild and the parent is never there and the kid actually overcorrects and say, well, my mom was bad and wild and she never really took care of me, so I'm going to be right here for my kids so they can never feel like they need me, and I'm going to smother them with love. Everybody has a paradigm shift. Your shifts about money come from your parents and what you felt. The shift about success and whether you believe you're good enough. I have a complex with whether I believe I'm good enough or not. But it doesn't come from my parents, but it comes whenever I was raised as a child. So I got all these pieces. But the thing is, at first, whenever I was doing my personal development, before I went to these seminars, all I was doing was cutting off the leaves and wondering why nothing was changing. Nothing was changing. I had to go down to where the root was. The root of my problem. I had to search and figure out, wait a second, why do I think this way? Why do I believe that, I can't be loved? Why do I believe that I'm not good enough? Why do I believe these things? Where did it come from? And by examining those, you can figure out what your root is and you can dig it up. You will never be able to kill this plant that's growing in your yard. You will never be able to dig it. And no matter how much you read, no matter how much you read, and no matter how much you study, and no matter how much you work out to try to get yourself in shape, but you don't believe you deserve to be in shape, no matter how much you do this and you wonder why you don't lose weight, because you haven't dug out the root. The plant's still growing. You just don't see it. So if you want to make some lasting change in your life, what you need to do is you need to go into yourself, figure out some of the things you want, and then go in and figure out what the root is and change the root problem. Address that. Don't address these leaves. These will always grow. But if you'll just keep changing the leaves, all you're going to do is, if you keep dismissing the leaves and cutting down the leaves, you're just going to get new leaves. You've got to go to the root problem. You got to go down here. And so that's all I want to tell you. Sunlight and water, this is why I actually put those on here. Sunlight and water are used to help plants grow. Your sunlight and your water in your life are actually designed to help whatever this is. Whatever, like I said, it might be parenting, it might be money, it might be how you feel about yourself. The water and the sunlight that you receive in this particular situation only helps what you believe to exist. Okay? Let me explain that a little bit better. Hopefully you'll get it. So the sunlight and the water are necessary for growth, right? As far as the plant goes. In your life, what your mind wants is you have subconscious and you have your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind always wants to be right. I'm pretty sure I'm getting this right. So there's always looking for stories that actually tell exactly how you feel. The example they used at the side seminar that I was at, they said that there's a woman could be in a room full of 100 men. They put 100 great men in a room. And put one bad boy in there. And in her mind, she's like, I always date bad boys. I always find bad guys. And she will go through all 100 of those men and she'll be like, oh, you know what? I couldn't find a good guy in here. And then all of a sudden, she'll come upon this one guy. Because she went through all 99, 100 guys over here. She finds that one guy's a bad guy, and then she boom, they kick it off. They end up whatever, and then he breaks her heart, or he mistreats her, whatever. And then her first line is going to be, I told you I always attract bad men. I told you men are bad. I told you men are pigs, because that is what she believes. So because of what she believes, she found the man who actually fits the profile of what she believes so that she can continue to tell herself what she truly believed. I've done the same thing with women. I believed I wasn't lovable. And that was my paradigm. So I would find women who I knew couldn't love me the way I need to be loved so that I could continue to be right. Oh, yeah, I told you. But see, sometimes being right is not as important as being real. You got to be real with yourself, because this plant is going to grow, and the sunlight and the water that's coming to it, like like for example in my situation, the women I would find, that to kind of keep my plant growing, all the things that I would do to make sure I found those type of women that I would be attracted to that would do that to me, is only making this plant grow further, no matter how much I cut it. And say, oh man, I hate whenever I find it, and I cut the top off the tree. I did not dig up the root. And until I'm willing to go down underneath the deck, get dirty, and dig out the root, it will always continue to grow. You must plant new seeds in the place of what you had. And that's all I wanted to tell you guys. I hope you guys got something from this. This is a pretty interesting situation here, because it goes, I can tell you every day I can be positive, but the reality of the situation is, if I'm just telling you to be positive and you're positive, that's the same thing as cutting out the root. So you got to make sure you're going down underneath there. You're cutting out the bulb. Sorry, you're only cutting out the branches. You got to go underneath the deck, cut down the root, dig it out. So if anybody's interested today, I'm posting on Facebook. I have a friend of mine with the side community has a free seminar today. It's a game seminar. Like, we're doing a whole bunch of different games. They kind of get you to think about, what you actually believe in your life and why it's true, and explain it a little bit. This is why this was so important. This is why it was so cool. So they're having a free one tonight, and I have tickets galore for anybody who wants to go with me and go with us. You can come in there, hang out, sit. All I ask is that you bring a pen and a piece of paper or a notebook to write down, because you're going to get some really great notes. And so if you're interested, all you got to do is hit me up, and I will gladly give you the information. It's free. Come meet some new people. Meet some people in a like-minded situation. People who want to change their situation and go to the next level. That's what you're going to be sitting with. So that's all I have for you today. Remember, your sunlight and your water will always show based on the plant that you plant. Okay? And this plant will always grow, because there will always be sunlight and there will always be water for you. But until you go down here and dig that root out, your plant will still always be there. And that means your problems will continue to arise, and you'll keep complaining about how your life isn't changing. Well, the reason it's not changing is because you're not changing, you're not digging out your root. You're just playing with the branches. So I believe and I love each and every one of you. If you're interested in coming tonight, let me know. I can put you guys on. It's not a big deal. It's easy. It starts around, I think, 6:30 is when it starts, 6:30, 7 o'clock-ish. But I would love to see you, some of you there, and just come hang out with me and take some notes. Worst comes to worst, you spend a free afternoon and evening with some really positive people, and it might put you in a better mind frame. Best comes to best, you see some things about yourself that you didn't even realize, and you take some steps to improvement. Either way, it's a win-win. But sitting at home, doing nothing, or making an excuse of not to go, it's not going to do anything for you. It's going to leave you in the same position as your plant grows. So that's all I have. I believe and I love each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And just remember, go dig out the root. Quit messing with the branches. And that's all I have to say. Have a good day, guys. Bye. Bye.